Hey, welcome back, and this is Module 2, where we will learn the ins and outs of the ChatGPT interface, along with the various features in ChatGPT, how you can interact with ChatGPT, how it can interact back with you, which formats it can produce, and so on. So once you've logged in to your ChatGPT account, you'll see a very large text box. This is primarily how you interact with ChatGPT. Think of it like a search box in Google. You can type in any question or thing that you like, and it will do its very, very best to give you an answer. Now, ChatGPT, I think, will give you far more sophisticated answers than Google will, well beyond just a series of pages that might be appropriate. At the same time, ChatGPT will make things up from time to time, so it's very important we remember our job is to validate and not just blindly trust what ChatGPT produces. So let's greet the AI. I think it's always good to be nice to the AI, and it'll be nice back to you. Hey, what's up? So I've entered in a thing, and it has gone and processed what my intentions are, went through the various different ways it could respond, and then responded back. So what if I said respond like a Gen Z? Ayo, what's good? You vibing or trying to get something done today? So that's pitch perfect. Okay, let's tell it to stop that because I can see where that would quickly become tiresome. We'll have it respond like a business colleague. I tend to find that's the best. Okay, so we're done with the Gen Z-ness. So remember, we're going to go through a product called AnyQuest, and let's see what it knows about AnyQuest. What do you know about AnyQuest? Now notice I have a typo. I'm going to leave that because part of what the chat will do is process my input and figure out my intent. So I could be pedantic and fix the typo, but it's not going to make any difference in this case. Since I'm a bad typist, we're just going to leave it. I consider it part of the helpfulness of AI. So let's see what it's come up with. It does have knowledge about AnyQuest already. Either it's figured this out through previous chats with me, or it's gone through the internet and found AnyQuest. And either way, this is pretty interesting information. I can see that, in fact, this is something I've taught the AI in the past, so it is using information it's gleaned from me as well as what it could find. So we are going to use AnyQuest in later exercises, but for now, let's keep making a tour of ChatGPT. So let's take a quick tour of the interface. Down here in the plus, I can either connect to Google Drive, which I would do through the settings and enter my credentials. I can also connect to OneDrive, or I can upload documents or files from my computer. These we will heavily use later. The next is the web search. So searching the web is possible with a number of different products, but with ChatGPT, what I like about this is I don't just get back a list of pages and then I have to figure out which is the best page and fight the various SEO madmen who've worked so very hard to get their nonsense page at the top of the rankings. It'll actually do some summarization for me. Now remember, my job is to validate, so I can't just blindly trust this, but let's just say, let's go to web search and say, what is the most popular vector database? Okay, so it's come up with various choices, and so I might have went to Google and found a page that talked about this, but then I would have to look at other pages and see if the information is contradictory or whatever. Depending on how much I care about this specific result, I can do more or less validation. So it's provided some sources. Let's take a look at those. And we can decide whether these sources are the most credible or not. But I like the fact that I can search the web and get the sources, and then I can choose which source to explore in greater detail if I want. ChatGPT has yet to replace Google, but I could see why they might want to do that. So another thing you can click is deep research. Now, deep research is useful when you really need a deep dive. These deep researches can take anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. And I have the Plus account, that's the $20 per month account, and they give me 10 deep research tasks per 30 days. So I'm very judicious how I use these. My main tactics for prompting is to prompt in an iterative fashion and not one huge prompt, but you don't really want to do that with deep research because you're gated to just a handful of these tasks. If I click this hamburger option, I can choose image. So let's click image and say something like, generate a cartoon image of a raccoon riding a skateboard. The raccoon must be wearing a silly hat. Now, image generation used to be terrible. And I have seen an update recently where it's not actually bad these days. It's not bad at all. So let's see what it comes up with. It will take a bit of time. As you can see, the first attempt failed. This is not uncommon with ChatGPT. I don't know why they have these issues, but usually you can ask it to restart, redo, reprovide the download, begin the task again, and it'll usually complete it if you remind it enough times.
A few moments later.
Okay, and now the raccoon image has been completed, and as you can see, it fits our requirements perfectly. I can download this image by pressing the download button. I can rate it by telling it did a great job. And so just remember that the quality is going to depend on how much specificity you added in. Remember I said silly hat, but I didn't say what kind of silly hat it would be. I feel like it did a pretty good job picking a propeller head hat, but it's up to you to be specific if you want a specific outcome. Let's look at another example. It's not the best with humans, so I'm going to upload a picture of me. And I'm going to say, add torso and legs to this image. So this image is basically a waist-up shot of me on my honeymoon in 2009. And it was taken in Australia, and we're on a boat, and I do not have legs in this picture, although in real life I do have legs. So let's see, with the instructions I've given it and this source photo, what it comes up with. Okay. So it did a partial job. Now, if you look at this image, it does have the Australian sky, the boat wake, things of that nature. It's paid attention to where the shadow should be, and I think that's pretty good, although I'm sure somebody on the internet could argue that those shadows aren't perfect. The face isn't bad, but I have to say, I know me pretty well, and that could be a cousin of mine, but it certainly isn't me. It's not bad, honestly. If you ask me to write a program to update images and make images, I couldn't do nearly as good as this. But when we're talking about people and we know the characteristics of people, this isn't really right. Plus, it didn't add my legs in there, really, so it didn't follow the instructions perfectly, but I think we can agree this is pretty good. I once did the similar task with an AI, and it gave me basically Minecraft character legs that didn't look at all appropriate. So that was about a year ago. It's pretty interesting to see how far this technology has gone. So your mileage may vary when it comes time to building images with ChatGPT, but I must confess, it is getting a lot better quickly. Let's look at another feature. This is called Canvas. So most of the time when you're interacting with ChatGPT, you write a prompt, it generates content, then you can add another prompt that changes that content and it will spit up the new set of content, and it keeps content coming like a waterfall. But sometimes we want to work on a piece of content as a chunk and just work on little bits and pieces here and there without having to copy and paste weird prompts and content in and out of ChatGPT. Canvas is the tool that makes that happen. So let's use Canvas to write. Let's ask Canvas to write 5 bullet points about this image. So it will consider our request and give us an answer. Now, if you notice, it popped up this interface here where I have a chat on the left and I have content on the right. Now I can interact with this content using the chat on the left. I can also work on this content individually. So if I hover over this, I now have some options, some formatting options, or I can ask a specific thing here. Also, there's a little pop-up that goes over here where I can work on this very specific line. I can copy this out, I can share it, or I can use some of the simple editing pieces here, like add emojis. Never click this, by the way. Add final polish. Change the reading level. So you can go all the way from kindergarten up to graduate school. I tend to prefer an upper middle school reading level myself. Adjust the length. Why you would want to make it longest, I don't know, because it'll just start making up stuff, but let's do that and see what it comes up with. Okay, you can see it substantially filled out the bullet points, but it's still 5 bullet points, but hasn't really changed the meaning. The last thing I can do is suggest edits. Now this will let the chat suggest its own edits. So why don't we work on this a little bit more? Let's go here, click the button and say, turn this into an intro paragraph for a blog about standing on boats. Great, now let's work with this final one. Make this a closing paragraph about the virtues of standing on boats in nice weather. Now I'm going to change the reading level to middle school. And now you can see it's changed words like demeanor to the man looks calm and friendly. You can still work with the whole content. So let's get it to turn this into a blog post advertising sunscreen. Now, if you notice, there's been a few spots where it's added in pitches for sunscreen. Here in the second paragraph, the last piece, it says dress your skin for protection. That means sunscreen. All this is pretty good. And now we need it to format it like a blog post. Change the bullet format to a blog post format. Add in a reflective question at the end. Okay, so you can see we now have a great blog post extolling the virtues of sunscreen, and we did this by starting with a picture and iterating a little bit using Canvas. So I can copy this out, put it in a blog post, ship it, make hundreds of millions of dollars from the sale of sunscreen through affiliate Okay, that's not actually true. But you can see how far we got with very little input. That's enough about Canvas. To close Canvas, just click the X. So a few more things you can do. You can interact with ChatGPT with voice. I should use this more, but write 250 words about sunscreen. There's my 250 words on sunscreen. There's other things you can do too, like you can upload CSV files, ask for trends, ask for the top 5 values, change them. You can extract text from a screenshot. That's actually pretty interesting. Let's make a screenshot. We'll ask it to extract the text from the screenshot. The screenshot is from an AnyQuest tutorial that I did, and I pasted in just an image. This is an easy task for AI. And so if you find yourself needing to extract text from pictures, this is a very simple way to do it, actually. And the accuracy is really good. Now, a few more menu options. Up here in the top right is the main menu. There's a few things here worth noting. Tasks are a way you can ask ChatGPT to do things in the future. It's currently in beta, but if you have something you want to schedule, say you want to have it do a search every Monday and give you the latest news about ChatGPT, it'd be very easy to do that. My GPTs is where you can create your own GPT. We're going to do this in a later step. To do this, you're going to need the Plus account at a minimum. But you're having your own GPT is the way that you can populate ChatGPT with information about your product, users, and so on, and get it to build content that's more accurate than our sunscreen article. You can customize ChatGPT. You can fine tune your account. Feel free to play around with this. You can change how it talks to you or a few other things. There's a settings option. The most important parts here is under personalization, you can manage your memories or what it sort of retains about you and cull out anything you don't want it to use. If you use ChatGPT a lot, it can pick up, quote, knowledge about you or memories about you that aren't really helpful for where you want to go. So trim those out from time to time. You can also change which voice you want to hear when you use the speech part of ChatGPT. You can also connect applications like OneDrive or Google Docs. That's nice to do. And you can upgrade your subscription. Remember, you'll need to get a paid subscription in order to finish this course, but you won't need it for a little bit now. Probably halfway through is when you'll need it. Up here is the selection of models. There's a number of different models. Each is good at doing something well. The common normal model as of the time of this course is ChatGPT 4.0. There are other models that are faster. For example, here is ChatGPT 4.0 Mini. This one will give you answers much faster, but it's not as good as 4.0. When you get a little bit more comfortable with ChatGPT, you'll know when to switch to the faster models and when you should use the default models. And then over here is the sidebar. This lists all the GPTs you have registered. It also has projects, which is a way to keep chats, files, and custom instructions in one place. You can use that for ongoing work or just to stay organized. And also all your chats are down below. You can search these, you can archive them, and that's basically the interface of ChatGPT. A few other important things to note: there's a wide variety of formats that you can get in ChatGPT or get it to make for you. So CSV is good for spreadsheets or tabular data. It can take in CSVs or it can produce them if that's what you'd like. HTML is good for web templates or email templates. JSON is good for structured data or configuration files. LaTeX is good for academic papers or something that might be math-heavy documentation. Markdown is good for readmes, blogs, documentation, and as we'll see later, it's also good for formatting your prompts. Plain text is good for just about anything. YAML is good for configuration files. Same with XML. Like, there's plenty of uses for those, usually in more of a technology realm than marketing, but you might be surprised. Also, ChatGPT can create enhanced output. For example, it can visualize charts and make those downloadable as PNG files. It can make code like Python, JavaScript, HTML, whatever. Database scripts, I'm pretty impressed with what it can do with that. It can format emails with subject line, tone, and structure. It can generate PNG images, and you can download those as we saw earlier. You can generate scripts for automation or even a script for a video or a podcast or social posts or a formula for social posts. It can make slides. It can summarize content, meetings, video files, and it can also produce transcripts. So ChatGPT is pretty amazing in what it can do. I find it's also pretty good at translating from one format to another. So say I have a VTT file I got from a video, and I want to turn that into a script or a tutorial. It's amazing at that. There's a couple of ways you can get data out of ChatGPT. There's always copy and paste, although sometimes the format is weird for what you want to put it into. If you have an issue with that, tell it where you want the content to go and it will reformat it for you. You can download it. You can get it into screenshots. You can ask ChatGPT to produce a Word or a Google Doc for download, or an Excel or a Google Sheets file, or PowerPoint or Google Slides, or even something you can put into a Markdown editor like Obsidian or Notion. So coming up is Module 3. To get great results, you're going to need a really clear foundation. Who is our business helping? What do we do? Why does it matter? What makes us different? And we're going to look at all of this through the lens of AnyQuest, but I've provided templates for you so that you can easily produce these materials for your own product or company. So I'll see you in the next module.